And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is Saturday First, a Saturday edition of Friday First, that series where we talk about those brand new #1 issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is for the first books of April 2025, coming out on April 5th, 2025, to be exact. So, first of all, I apologize for this being a day late. Time just got away from me and I couldn't get everything together in time. But I'm here recording this Saturday morning for you all so you don't miss the 75th episode of this show, actually. So, funny enough, an anniversary kind of episode a day late. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's here. And we're going to talk about some comics. So, I have a lot of comics to talk about. We've had a few big weeks for comics as far as volume, quantity of comics coming out and everything. So I've got a lot to talk about coming up. I've got a lot to talk about that I've read, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, if you're new to the show, basically what I do is I recap a few titles from the previous week, first issues, and then I'll go into the first for next week, and usually starting with some shout outs or honorable mentions. Uh, First issues that I want people to be aware of in case they're in that fandom, but maybe I'm not necessarily in that fandom, that kind of thing. Then I'll talk about the books that I'm looking forward to or I'm potentially looking forward to, and I'll give them a rating of possibly good, potentially good, promisingly good, or positively good. So it's a 4 rating scale, basically 4 stars, 1, 2, 3, or 4, but everything's good, right? Because it's only good comics. And then I'll wrap up with some other books that are not first issues that I'm also looking forward to. But this week, in this case, all those other books that are not first issues technically are also first in a way. So it's really interesting how that played out, and I'll explain that when we get to that section. But first, we're going to go into those recaps. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Feral, issue number 11. Now, the reason this is on a first recap here is because this is the first issue of year 2 of Feral, and they say that it's a jumping on point. So we're going to talk about whether it's a jumping on point and the issue in general. So Feral number 11 kicks off year 2. Just to recap real quick what happened in year 1. You had these 3 house cats, Elsie, Patch, and Lord, that were in the middle of this rabies outbreak. Now all of a sudden, all pets across this city, we don't know if it's the whole country, whole world, we just know it's in this area at the very least, are being quarantined. And now these cats are on the run, and they're running away from the bad kind, which it's basically a zombie story but with cats. And so all kinds of things happen. They run into all kinds of obstacles, enemies, etc. The last arc, they were trapped in a house with a evil cat lady. Not going to go into that, but here we are. They have just been in a car crash, and as we start this issue, they are stuck in the car. Injuries abide. Elsie is still in this silence cone, this cone that they put on animals so they won't scratch their face or whatever, or lick their whatever. Um, so she's in a cone, and they're trying to escape this car, and there are bad kind all around. I won't spoil what kind of bad kind, because it's a different kind of bad kind than we've seen before. So this starts off this new leg of their journey, their adventure. They meet new characters, some that we have seen that we didn't know we'd seen, some brand new. And so in that sense, it is kind of a jumping on point. You have to accept that, okay, these cats have been through some stuff already. We're in the middle of this rabies zombies outbreak, and now they're on the run. If you can accept that, you don't really need to know what happened before, except that they are kind of a hodgepodge group of characters that came together, and they're in the middle of this thing, and they're on the run for their lives, trying to stay alive and try not to get infected. That's basically where this issue starts off. So in that sense, yeah, it's a decent jumping off point, and you don't need to know a whole lot of information. And that's kind of the way that the book is designed anyway. You could really pick up at various arcs, and as long as you understand what the story is about, you're not going to be lost. You'll miss like some character moments and things like that, but maybe it encourages you to go back and catch up. I think for this book, it definitely will, because this is one of the best books on the stand. It's just, especially if you like zombie stories, if you're a Walking Dead fan, this is really in line with that kind of storytelling. It's just done with cats. A lot of the times the dialogue is lighter, it's quicker of a read, but a lot is going on all at once. You're dealing with a lot of emotions, a lot of different character types. You've got protective types, you've got, you know, younger characters that don't understand the danger of the situation. You've got timid characters, you've got grumpy characters, you've got violent characters, you've got all kinds of different character types in this story about cats. It's so crazy how good this book is, and I highly recommend this book. I always recommend this book, and this was another phenomenal issue of Feral. Next up, we're going to talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter. Now, if you watched last week's episode, you know that this was the one Absolute book that I was completely hesitant on. Now, having read the entire story, because I said I was going to give it the whole issue to kind of win me over, right? I will say that I'm a little bit more intrigued. I don't love the art style or the coloring style. I understand what they're going for here. So this smoke that he's seeing that's spilling out everywhere, if you haven't picked up on that yet, it's kind of obvious, but it's the thoughts. So ultimately we find out that he doesn't realize who he is. He's having an identity crisis because throughout this first issue, he's piecing together what exactly happened. And finally, I think maybe discovers that, oh, hey, I'm not this guy that I think I am. I'm this Martian dude. Right. So it's interesting seeing him kind of walk through and regain his memories, trying to piece everything together, and not understanding why he's seeing smoke coming off all these characters, and being, understanding what they know in their minds, like the secrets that they hold and all this stuff. He doesn't know how he knows all this stuff. So we see that, come together. We see his family afraid of him, not understanding him. We see him, wanting to go back to work, not wanting to spend time with his family, just wants to, investigate this whole situation and all that stuff. So those parts are interesting. I have a disconnect because the art style is just not my particular taste. The colors are garish and that kind of thing. It feels very 70s like, and it just, for whatever reason, it's just turning me off a little bit. So this is on the lower side of the Absolute books, but again, I understand what they're going for. I like that this is a different take on the Martian Manhunter, even though ultimately it's leading to a very similar place, I think. But I'm still intrigued by it, and I probably will try out the second issue. But if it doesn't truly win me over with that one, I think I'm done. This might be the first Absolute book that I end up dropping, just because. And it's not that it's a bad book. It's not that it's poorly put together. I think the story structure was fine. I think the flow of the storytelling and the plot, the way it came to be, the mystery of it, I think all that was fine. Just for whatever reason, it's not appealing to me personally. So that's kind of where I'm at with Absolute Martian Manhunter. Next up, we have a Far Down Below. This is from Mad Cave, and this is about a couple of kids who decide to go to this haunted house on this rainy day and find something mysterious. So it's also set in the 80s. So I talked about last week how this, gives me Stranger Things vibes, that kind of thing. So the way we set this up is we start in the 1800s, late 1800s, and these scientists have drilled to the center of the earth and discovered that it's a hollow earth, and they encounter these creatures. We don't get to see them. All we see is a bunch of eyeballs in the dark. But it started off with a direction that I wasn't expecting, and I get, again, what they're going for. It's a Stranger Things kind of thing. Instead of going into the upside down, they've dug to the center of the earth and found this other civilization or whatever. And so we fast forward to the 80s, almost, it was over 100 years later, and these two kids, one of them, this house is in their family, Their dad kind of owns it, inherited from the grandfather and so forth. So they decide to go check it out, and they discover something. So all in all, the concept is solid. Like I said, it started off not going where I expected it to, and I don't know how I feel about the whole Hollow Earth thing and what kind of creatures we're gonna encounter down there. It was very vague. We didn't really get to see what happened to those characters. Just we know that over the years, people have gone missing. I thought the stuff between the two boys was interesting. The one boy has this crush on this girl and he wants to call her. The other boy just wants to hang out and play and keeps trying to distract them. Hence the trip to the haunted house once he finds out that his friend's family owns it. And then it's just two young kids exploring this and going on this adventure, but then they see something maybe they weren't supposed to see, um and weird things start happening. I felt like it was a little bit staggered, and the cliffhanger wasn't enough to be like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next. It was just like, oh, they see us. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but they see that. Okay. So it didn't have the impact on me that I hoped it would. Um, Mackay puts out some really good books. This one just needs a little bit more. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It was just lacking something for me to be excited about it at this point. Will I read issue 2? Depends on the week. I think. I think that's the way it's going to play out. I don't think it made enough of an impact on me to be like, there's no way I'm missing issue 2. It's going to depend on how many books I have to read that week. So that's far down. Yeah, far down below. I thought I said it wrong. All right, the final book I'm going to talk about is Batman issue 158. This is Hush 2, the first issue. And this is Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, revisiting the Hush character. And the one thing I will say about this book, and this was a conversation privately in the Comic Book Weekly chat that I haven't entered that conversation yet, but I know there was like some confusion on whether this story was set in the past or not. And going in, obviously he references the first time that he was called to the Joker trying to poison the water system and all of that stuff, the water reserve, and that's kind of where we start off. It is a little unclear of whether that's the time period that we just went to, or if he's just referencing that because he's going after the Joker again, and it's a similar plot, a similar thing, because he does talk about early on in the issue how it's not like the Joker to repeat his crimes, to repeat the joke, basically. So that kind of leads you to believe that it's further in the future, that it's not back in the past. But at the same time, we don't know if this is like right after the Hush stuff. Like, is this pre-New 52? Is this after the 52? Is this now? When exactly is this? It is a little unclear. I think that it's happening in the present, and I think those references to the past are just that, because we also reference the 14 Robins and 13 Batgirls or whatever it was. It was a bunch of different iterations of the characters. Damian is mentioned here. Talia is in the issue, saves Bruce. So that it's after Bruce has Damian. It's after there's a bunch of Robins and a bunch of Batgirls all working together. Nightwing and Batgirl are good. So that leads me to believe that we're in the present. And it was just a little bit of a, what's the word I want to use here? Just the transition between, and it wasn't even transition between time periods, because we didn't really jump back in time. It was implied that we were flashing back, and we weren't. Is my take on it. I could be completely wrong. This could be all in the past. I don't know. But either way, the overall story as a whole, I thought it was interesting what happened to the Joker, and very violent what happened to the Joker. And again, we don't see the Joker a lot. I don't remember where the Joker is at this point in the present, to know what's happening with him and why he could be there and why he would be attacking the reservoir again or whatever. I don't. Obviously, that was a setup. Hush is involved. Is this the original Hush? We were kind of leading down a different path. Before in Batman and Robin, we didn't know if there was going to be another character being Hush and so forth. So it's a little confusing and a little jolting, just jumping into this, not knowing exactly where this story is going or what the setting is, because there was no lead into it. So just a little jarring, the transitions here. But I do like the overall story of him dealing with this major villain in his past again, and this villain taking things to the extreme with the Joker and kind of luring Batman in. It's an interesting narrative that they're telling in that regard. I'm just gonna have to see how it goes. I'm obviously going to continue reading this. Um, it was enough to have me curious to be like, okay, I've got to know what Hush's agenda is here, where this is taking place, what is going on with the Bat family, etc. So overall, decent read. And with that, we're going to get into those honorable mentions. First up, we have Archie and Friends Level Up issue number 1. I believe this might be a one shot, but this is a just kind of a love letter to video games, and they say in the description just in time for the Minecraft movie. So obviously you can see there's Pac-Man references, Mario references, etc. Minecraft obviously on the cover here. So if you're a Minecraft fan, if you're excited about this Minecraft movie, or you're excited for your kids, you like Archie, you might want to check this out and just have some fun with it. Next up, we have an honorable mention for our Spawn fans out there, a Spawn universe title, Black Ritual, the Book of Nyx. Now, I don't read Spawn. I don't know much about it, but this is all about Nyx, who has been many things for Spawn, for Al Simmons, a friend, the savior, etc. And so this is all about Nyx. So if you're a Nyx fan, you might want to check this one out. Next up, we have Star Trek Lore War. Again, I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I'm not reading the Star Trek comics, but if you're a Star Trek fan, Trekkie, I think that's the one that's not disrespectful. I know there's two different ones. Anyway, if you're a Trekkie and you love Star Trek and you want to read more about it, it looks like Data on the cover there. This is the start of an all-new crossover event between Star Trek and Defiant. So yeah, check it out. This is written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. So, famous team, done a lot of work, Guardians of the Galaxy, etc. Doing some Thunderbolts stuff over at Marvel, etc. So check out Star Trek Lore War. Next, we have G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero Beachhead issue number 1. This is written by Phil Hester. This is in the ongoing Larry Hama scribed continuity, the G.I. Joe Real American Hero that started with the Marvel run, went through IDW, and now is at Skybound via Image Comics. So this is tied into that, but it is a one-shot all about Beachhead, which is a fan favorite character. And so if you're a Beachhead fan, you're a G.I. Joe fan, if you read all Real American Hero, definitely go check this one out. It's a silent issue as well. So. And finally, we have Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe One Last Time. This is written by Cullen Bunn with art by Dalibor Talajic. I told you I was a fan of Talajic's art before. Cullen Bunn, famed writer as well. I've never read one of these Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe titles, though, so I'm probably not going to pick this up. That's why it's on this honorable mention list. But if you're a huge Deadpool fan, if you've liked the previous Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, definitely go check this one out as well. With that, we're going to get into those rated books. All right, first up, we have Daredevil Cold Day in Hell issue number 1. This is written by Charles Soule with art by Steve McNiven. So this is basically Old Man Daredevil. This takes place in the future. Matt Murdock is older, and this mystery person, interrupts this convoy that causes an explosion, gas leaks everywhere in Hell's Kitchen, and Matt Murdock's not going to sit still and take this, so he leaps into action. So, don't know much about this, haven't seen a preview, but it's Charles Soule writing, Steve McNiven, who's a phenomenal artist on art duties here, and it's a Daredevil old man Daredevil story basically. That's piqued my interest, quite a bit here. I think this could be an interesting story. I like kind of exploring what happens later in life for superheroes, and especially once their faculties have kind of not gone away, but kind of waned a little bit, especially with someone like Daredevil, who relies on all his other senses so much. So I'm curious to see how they play with that a little bit, to see if some of his other senses have dulled, so it makes it a little bit harder to fight crime or whatever. So that could be interesting. So I'm gonna give this one a potentially good. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna check out this first issue and see what it's all about. I don't know if this is an ongoing or if it's just a one shot. It says I'll just read this. After a horrific series of events, the world is in shambles. Matt Murdock is old and his powers have faded to nothing. So there you go. Matt will not, however, sit and watch his fellow New Yorkers suffer. So instead of swinging around the city from his Billy Club line, he slings soup at a food center for the poor. But when a mysterious, wrinkly old man interrupts a secret convoy causing an explosion, deadly gas fills Hell's Kitchen, like I said, and this tale takes a turn that will change how you look at the man without fear. So that's really interesting. And you see there's a good shot of him aged here. So I like this. I like this, and this could be a fun, just kind of story. It says one of three, so there you go. Miniseries, Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell, issue one of three, potentially good from me. Next up is a character that I have not read much at all. This is Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma, issue one from DC Comics. It's a Black Label comic. So these I typically stay away from unless it's a character or a writer that I'm really interested in. But they've been doing some really good ones. Plastic Man was really good, for example, Zatanna. So some really strong ones have come out of the Black Label line of books, and this one could be no different. I don't know much about Resurrection Man. Obviously, he resurrects and comes back. But this is written by Ron V, who is a writer that I'm kind of hit and miss with. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. The artist is Anon RK, so I'm not familiar with that artist. It says Batman Urban Legends Blue and Green, so I'm not familiar with this. This is a prestige format book, so keep that in mind. It's a mini series. It says it promises to be one you'll want to read again and again. 32 pages, $4.99. I'll just read a little bit of this. He's back. Mitch Shelley, the Resurrection Man, has led thousands of lives. Unexpected deaths. I'll skip around. After he lives a life to a natural conclusion, he's awoken with a new purpose and power. He saves the universe, fights against a monster of his own creation, a sadistic World War II internment camp commander who has inherited a twisted version of Shelley's powers. Yeah, that's not the kind of story that I love. I don't love that time period. I don't love dealing with that because we deal with that a lot in comics, like a lot, a lot, a lot. So it's at the same time, it's kind of a classic. It's like, okay, we all want to, see these heroes beat up some Nazis. So it just makes you, I don't know. Anyway, it's just not really my kind of time period things, but it is interesting to see a villain from that time period have those powers where he resurrects and continues to cause chaos. Gives me Captain America Red Skull vibes a little bit. So it could be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. I'm not even sure if I'm going to end up picking this up now that I know the full scope of the story. I'm going to give this one a possibly good. If you read this and you really enjoy it, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this or any other Black Label books that you might check out. This is just a fun one that I had to include. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur 10th Anniversary Special Issue 1. I used to read this book when it was coming out, and I enjoy it. I like Lunella. I think she's a fun character. Pairing up with Devil Dinosaur was clever. They formed this bond. And in this anniversary issue, Impossible Man threatens to append the festivities of this celebration, it's a birthday celebration, a decade in the making. Yeah, Lunella, if you're not familiar with her, she's the smartest girl in the universe, smartest person to Marvel U, they say. She's got this bond with this super powered dinosaur as well. So it's just a fun time when these are on the on the page. This is written by Brandon Montclair, who I'm not too familiar with art by Natasha Bustos. I do believe I recall that artist's name. I can't place what they've done. Let me see. Well, previous Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur stuff. So I know I like that, and Go Go Power Ranger. So yeah, I'm on board with the art. Let's see, Brandon Montclair. Previous Moon Girl stuff as well. So yeah, and Superman Day also okay. So yeah, I'm cool with the creative team as well. And by the way, while I'm scrolling around this site and clicking and showing you different things, this is not a sponsored thing, but I do want to make you aware that the website that I use, I point this out from time to time, is leagueofcomicgeeks.com. Mike Spiderslayer pointed this site out to me years ago, and I use it to track my pull list and stuff. I'm not logged in for some reason, so it's not showing my pull list here. But yeah, no, actually I am logged in, so I don't know why it's not. Maybe I forgot to mark my polls for this week. But anyway, either way, I use this site. It's very informative. It updates books. Like if they get delayed, it'll show them in the correct week and stuff. It's a great way to keep track of your collection, what you want to pull, what you're interested in, what you've read, etc. So go check it out. Really useful site, and I use it for this show every single week. But this one, I didn't give this a rating yet. I just realized that. So I'm giving this one a possibly good, just because celebratory anniversary issues, you never know what to expect with them. So possibly good, even though I do like the characters. Next up is a new title from Artists, Writers, and Artisans, otherwise known as AWA. This is Polis issue number 1. This is a double-sized first issue, and it's by Eisner and Ringo Award-winning writer Mark Russell, who you may know from some of the things that list there: Batman Dark Age, Not All Robots. Flintstones was a book that he did as well. And so various other things, usually has some kind of stance or message or political leaning, that kind of thing, but told in a way that usually is very comical or interesting or sarcastic, that kind of thing. So I don't love all of Mark Russell's stuff, but the stuff that I do like of his, I really, really like. So I'm hoping this is going to be one of those. So basically, this is about a floating city called Maragua that has it's populated by refugees because the world has, dealt with climate disaster and civil war and etc. So this teen named Natalie from Florida looks to better her life by going to this floating city and forge a new path. So that's kind of what this is about. There's a foreword by this renowned futurist, that kind of thing. So this is probably not going to be for everybody. I'm going to try it out because, again, the stuff that I really do, that I really like from Mark Russell, I really, really tend to enjoy. So again, hope this is one of them. So I'm going to give this one a potentially good for Polis issue number 1. Okay, this is interesting. I'm showing the cover here because I don't want to show the description yet because I want to have fun and read this. This is Valiant Beyond Exo Man of War issue number 1. So we're already into another new Exo Man of War book, but there's a reason for it. This is from Valiant, obviously. So let me click away from the cover here. So I'm going to read a little bit of this description and you'll see where it's going. It says, a new era of superhero telling begins here. Designed as the ultimate, in all caps, jumping on point, the Valiant Beyond line of comics are, all caps again, absolute must-reads that will energize your love for superheroes. So already we know from that, those keywords dropped in there, tongue-in-cheek, that we're going for an ultimate universe, absolute universe vibe in the Valiant universe. So they've done their own with this Valiant Beyond. So this is a brand new universe full of Valiant characters. So if you don't like what's going on with the resurgence, if that's even still going to be a thing, I don't know. And you want to try a brand new version of this universe, this is a great jumping on point because here is their key character, Exo Man of War, with the first issue of this Valiant Beyond line. So just to read a little bit more, the mighty Eric of Dacia, or Dacia, however you pronounce that, aka Exo Man of War, traverses a deadly wasteland filled with mutated horrors in search for honor in this can't miss debut issue from GLAAD Award nominated writer Steve Orlando. I love Steve Orlando's writing. Scarlet Witch, that whole entire run through the various minis or various ongoings, whatever you want to call them. Really good, really strong stuff for me. And superstar artist Guillermo Fajardo, sorry. Eric's strength and resilience are put to the test when he comes to the defense of a family under siege from a mysterious gang known as the Earthborn. Eric finds himself aligned with a rebel group, which puts him firmly in the crosshairs of the Earthborn's leader, Typhon. Can Eric survive his journey across the Red Steppe? Get locked and loaded for a 4-part adventure with an all-new 28-page debut issue available at a special introductory price. It's Exo-Men of War like you've never seen them before. I apologize for all the refreshes on the page. Those ads are causing it to jolt a little bit. I apologize for that. But anyway, interesting that Valiant is doing their own Ultimate Universe, basically. And yeah, I'm behind on the Resurgence stuff right now, so I'm curious about this, and I might try this out just to see what this new take on their universe is. It does, have my interest peaked here, so I'm giving this one a potentially good, and we'll see what this is all about. If you're a Valiant fan, you might want to try this one. Next up, we have another book from Mad Cave called Pastime, issue number 1. This is for the baseball fans out there. This is definitely a different kind of book from them. The creative team I'm not familiar with. It is Joseph Harris, and Russell Mark Olson. I'm familiar with what else they've done. But this is basically just about a baseball player. It says the best baseball player anybody ever saw. If only their dark affliction didn't prevent them from playing in the daylight. So I guess maybe it's a vampire story. Maybe that's what it is. I didn't catch that through my first read through the description. It says when the barnstorming circuit introduces a new novel to the game, night baseball under the bright lights, will his dreams of playing pro ball finally be realized, or will his bloody past catch up with him before he gets the chance? So this is kind of cool. It says it's the 1920s to the big city lights of today. So you're going to go through time, see this character's journey. Now I get it. So this is a vampire who is the best baseball player ever seen, but has never been able to play until now when night games are a thing. So that is interesting. That is an interesting twist on this, and you don't often see sports stories with a supernatural twist. It's either like a slice of life thing, or it's this aside. Like I'm thinking of like the most recent Darkhawk miniseries where the main character was a basketball player, so we saw elements of the sport, but it was about the superhero stuff. Or we see like those sports books from Boom Studios. I can't think of the line. They have a line of books where they do like fence and stuff like that. So yeah, this is interesting. It adds a little twist to it, and we could see a lot more action than we're planning on with this book. So yeah. That's got me very curious about the story now. So I'm gonna give this one a possibly good, and this one's from Mad Cave. Go check it out if you're a baseball fan or vampire fan. Next up from Marvel, we have one for all the music fans, Concert of Champions issue 1. If you like Dazzler, Lila Cheney, or the K-pop sensation Luna Snow from the various Korean books that they've put out, you will want to check this one out. And this is a double first because this is a first issue, but it also says at the very end of the description here, plus a top secret debut that you won't even realize is happening yet. So that's kind of interesting. I like that. Spider-Gwen is also in this. So if you're a Spider-Gwen fan of any of these musical characters in Marvel and just want a fun time, here's a better look at the cover and some of the characters you're going to see in this book. You're going to want to check this one out. It's a 6-issue miniseries, 32 pages, $4.99. This is written by Jason Liu with art by Ruari Coleman. Not familiar with the artist. I do recognize Jason Liu's name. I don't know exactly where. Probably from, let's just see. Werewolf by Night. So if you like that, The All-Nighter, The Pitiful Human Lizard. Never heard of that. But if you like the Werewolf by Night, you might like this as well. But this is Concert of Champions issue 1, and I am going to give this one a potentially good because I do like some of those characters. I like music stuff. I like sometimes just having fun with the comic. So yeah, I'm gonna check out this first issue and see what it's all about and see what this top secret debut they're teasing is. Okay, this one from Image Comics. The title alone makes me want to check this book out. I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer, issue number 1. Not familiar with the creative team on this one either. This is Doug Wagner and Daniel Hilliard um, writing and illustrating this. It says Rennie Bethery has just been accepted into New York City's most prestigious fashion school. Her designs are daring, edgy, and singular, and made of human flesh. Did we forget to mention Rennie is a serial killer who simply wants to be a fashion designer instead? Stupid, pesky, murderous urges. So this is Dexter if he was a fashion designer, but also creepy and a little Silence of the Lambs here. This is weird. I'm not gonna lie, this is weird, but it's kind of like that. You gotta see what it's all about, right? That's how I'm feeling about it. It's like this is I love the title. Um, it's creepy. The human flesh clothes kind of turns me off a little bit, but at the same time, I'm really curious about this story. It's definitely out there. It's definitely different, and yeah, I'm gonna check out the first issue just to see what it's about. At least I'll look through it to see if the art style appeals to me because sometimes that doesn't grab me. I don't know if the interior art is the same as the cover art. Let's see, cover artist. Yes, it is. So this is the art style in the book, which gives me a little bit more hope because I do kind of like this art style. But man, that's gory. That's creepy, right? But I'm gonna try it out because why not, right? I'm gonna give this one. I don't know what to rate this. Oh, I feel like if I give this like a really high rating, it makes me creepy, right? So, I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give it a promisingly good, just because it's creepy enough and weird enough. And Image, they kind of won me over with some creepy stuff, like with plush and stuff like that that I didn't think I would like. So I'm gonna give this one a promisingly good, and we'll see what it's all about. Okay. Getting into some lighter stuff from Marvel, Ironheart Bad Chemistry, issue 1. A former nemesis of Ironheart is back to cause all kinds of troubles through Riri's world, it says there. So it says that she's already attacked Chicago once and stolen this artifact from this Black History Museum. And now this alchemical transformer Kim is back for another fight of Ironheart City, it says. So we have to find out what Kim's connection to Riri is and if Riri can stop Kim before Chicago burns. So miniseries oncoming for Ironheart here, 40 pages for $4.99. This is written by Josh Jennings with art by Jethro Morales, colors by Andrew Dahlhaus. Jethro Morales' name sounds familiar, but John Jennings I'm not familiar with. Bitterroot. So if you're a fan of Bitterroot, I did not read Silver Surfer Ghostlight, and I've told you in the past I've not read any Bitterroot stuff. So yeah, if you're a fan of either of those, though, this might be up your alley. Let's see. House of Fear, Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Not familiar with the artist. I know the name, but not familiar with the work. So yeah, I'm a little on the fence with this one. I do like Ironheart as a character. Not always handled well, but maybe she will be in this miniseries. We'll have to see. But I am going to give this one a potentially good. I probably will check out the first issue because it's been a minute since I've seen Ironheart, especially featured. So next we have a video game tie-in, Marvel Rivals issue 1. If you've not played Marvel Rivals yet, go check it out. I have played it once. I haven't really gotten into it just yet. I toyed around with it a little bit. It's free to play, and so it just takes up space. So go check it out. But if you are already a player, if you're a gamer, if you like Marvel Rivals, if you like video game tie-in books, you might want to check this one out. It's spinning off the brand new hit video game sensation Tokyo 2099. The time rift has disrupted the web of life and destiny, leaving the world's heroes to battle it out over the best way to fix it. So this group is led by this character Penny Parker. They go into the web of cyberspace to repair it. Spider-Man's there. They try to use chronovium to strengthen the web and repair it, etc., etc. This is collecting an Infinity comic. So if you already read it on the Infinity, comic stuff, you don't need to get this unless you just want a print copy. If you're like me and you haven't read any of the Infinity comic stuff, you might want to check this out. It's collecting the first 6 issues of this series. This is written by Paul Allure with art by Luca Claretti. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to check this one out or not. It's, again, I'm reading a lot of books, so it's one of those that I'd like to check it out, but at the same time, maybe I'll just find a way. Maybe I'll go check out the Infinity comic instead. But yeah, I'm going to give it a potentially good. And if you're a big fan of the video game and you want to convince me to play it more, leave me a comment. If you read the Infinity comic and you want to let me know how that is before any of us buy a print copy of this, let me know as well. Curious on your thoughts on any of these books as well. So definitely want to hear your feedback. But now we're going to get into the last book of the first for this week. Saving the best for last, we got Absolute Green Lantern issue number 1, written by Al Ewing with art by Janoy Lindsay. And we are bringing the cosmic to the absolute universe. And it says, without the core, without the ring, without the willpower, what's left is the absolute Green Lantern. Now, we've seen preview of Absolute Green Lantern in the books this week. Very, very vague preview. We basically just have a character that looks a lot like Hal Jordan stumble into a diner, starving, needs water, and something major has happened, and he's just come from it. And we pan to a giant Green Lantern symbol. I don't know if it's a spaceship, if it's a power battery, what it is. It just looks like the giant symbol on his ring in the middle of the city. And that's all the information we've gotten so far. So they're keeping it mysterious. They're keeping it vague. The cover art looks really strong here. I'm not too familiar with Janoy Lindsay. I saw they did a Superman or Superboy Man of Tomorrow in 2023 and did Disney's Scar. So if you're familiar with the art style from either of those, obviously Al Ewing done a ton of stuff. So very familiar with Al Ewing's work, which again is hit or miss for me. So we'll see what kind of story this has to offer. So far I like the preview. I like the mystery of it. I like not really knowing and just going a different route with the introduction to the Green Lantern Corps into the Absolute Universe. I think that's interesting, but I really don't know how to feel about it. It does seem more up my alley than Martian Manhunter and Wonder Woman, though. So for me, I'm going to give this one a promisingly good, and I've got my fingers crossed that we're going to get yet another solid Absolute book. All right, that's it for the first issues proper. So I mentioned that the other books that I have to talk about this week are also kind of first. So I'm going to break that down. Here is the list, and I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible. So Absolute Superman issue number 6. The reason, well, first of all, this is just a good book. It's a really solid read. I like this new take on Superman. How he was on Krypton for a while, grew up there, and then came to Earth. But we don't know really much about him since he came to Earth. Well, now that all changes, and that's why this is kind of a first, because in this issue is the secret origin of Absolute Superman. So we're going to find out exactly how he came to be the character that he is, that we've been reading, going out and saving people and having this, animosity towards this company and all this stuff. We're going to find that out in this issue. Excuse me. X-Men 14. Obviously, we just came out of X-Man Hunt. We're going into a new story arc, kind of revisiting past story arcs but kind of getting back on track. So it is technically a new story arc, new direction for the book. We're going back to Merle, Alaska, and there's a missing child that has a connection to the X-Men. And so we're gonna deal with that, and also with these shadowy 3K adversaries that are moving directly with another agenda of their own. So new direction for X-Men. With Miles Morales, Spider-Man issue number 32, we just came out of the crossover with Deadpool, and now we are going back to Nancy and that stuff, and we're involving Hercules and Thor in this as well, and also Ares. So all the gods are getting involved. It's this, he's Nancy's champion to fight Ares, and Hercules and Thor get involved as well. So that's kind of where we're going with this. Legacy number 314. So new direction for Miles. I don't love the Anansi stuff. I want to get back to core Miles stuff that was in the first part of this run. But if you're a Nancy fan and you like the God stuff, if you're a Hercules fan, Ares fan, etc., this might be the arc for you. Birds of Prey issue number 20. We are introducing a brand new team of villains in this issue. So this is a new arc for this series as well, where they're on a midnight heist. There's this whole staged crime scene, and a villain team emerges with their sights set on the Birds of Prey and old grudges. So interesting, and I'm here for it. So Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, from one new villain team to another. In Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu issue number 7, 8-Ball has joined a new crew. And from the cover art, it looks like it might be an old crew. It looks like Deadpool, or a Deadpool type character. You'll just have to see the cover, but it looks interesting. I think the group is called Pool Party, and it says fractured, wounded, and with his alliances hanging by a thread, will 8-Ball do the unthinkable and return to a life of crime. So we're gonna have to see what happens with 8-Ball. If you've been reading Moon Knight, and you've become endeared to this character, you'll be curious to see what happens with 8-Ball. Deadpool number 13, again, coming out of that crossover with Miles. Now we are back on track with their storyline as we're going after revenge on Death Grip, who killed Deadpool before he was brought back to life. And yeah, so now he's looking to return the favor. He's got a deadly new weapon, and he's stopping with Solem and going after Mr. Grip with the Muramasa blade. Now, Wolverine fans will be very familiar with this blade. So yeah, somehow Deadpool's got his hands on that, and he's going after Death Grip. And finally, with All-New Venom issue number 5, this isn't really a new arc or a jumping on point, but the reason I'm calling this one a first technically as well is because supposedly, finally, we are getting the revelation of who Venom actually is. So this will be technically kind of a first appearance or a revelation introduction to who the new Venom actually is. It says, who is the all-new Venom revealed? When all the red herrings have been weeded out, who's left? The clues have been in front of you the whole time. And by the end of this issue, you, all caps, will know the name of the all-new Venom. But with MODOK out for symbiote blood, you might just be identifying the corpse. So there we go. Those are the other books I'm anticipating, which are technically also first. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun recording this episode, actually. Going a day late actually gave me a little extra time to get this prepared and have a little bit more fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe notification bell so you don't miss any of the episodes or other content on this channel. Of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics, or type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, take care, keep reading those comics, and I'll see you soon.